Today's Mayor Time comes from outside of Watchbox Studios and inside of Phillips headquarters here in the big city. We are joined with the Phillips head of watches for the Americas, Paul Boutros. Paul, thank you for having us here in the Phillips Cube, as you call it.
Warm welcome, George. Great to have you here at Phillips's New York headquarters. It's an exciting weekend here. We have highlights from our inaugural sale for the fall season, the Geneva Watch Auction 16 sale, along with highlights from our Hong Kong Watch Auction 15 sale. And we've got a special selection of 5 very interesting watches that I think you're going to enjoy hearing about.
We most certainly do. Definitely looking forward to taking a deep dive into those. But first, let's learn real quickly about Phillips auctions in general. So how many auctions do you have a year?
So a total of 6 live auctions now. We have each season, spring and fall. Sales in Geneva, Hong Kong, and New York. They take place in May and June for the spring season. And in the fall season, we have the first auction being Geneva, followed by Hong Kong, and finally our New York auction. So 6 total live auctions. We have a handful, less than a handful of online-only auctions. We had our very first Geneva online sale this month, followed by our Hong Kong online auction. So we'd love to make our auctions events, which the watch community looks forward to seeing.
Get people excited.
Absolutely.
So how many people generally do you have participating in the auctions registered to bid?
Yeah, great question. And the growth has been tremendous, and it shows how many people have discovered this secret world that only a few of us knew. So if I think about New York, in October 2017, we held our very first auction in New York. That was the Winning Icons sale, where we sold Paul Newman's Paul Newman for the world record price of $17.8 million. In that sale, we probably had a total of 350 to 400 total registered bidders for this very important auction that was probably the most well-attended sale ever. And today, our typical sales have no less than 2,000 registered bidders, usually upwards of over 3,000 registered bidders. And that's consistent across Geneva, Hong Kong, and New York.
Amazing, and from all over the world, I imagine.
International clients, I think our last sale had 82 countries represented. The reach is widespread because the passion for watches is absolutely global.
Love it. So something I'm really interested to learn about myself, when you curate a collection to go up for sale at auction, how many of the watches generally are from you seeking them out, going to collectors saying, hey, you should put this up for sale, and how many of the watches do you have that come from people offering them to you? And then how do you determine which watches to accept from those people that come to you?
Another great question. I would say it varies depending on the season, but typically I'd imagine 20 to 25% are us actively seeking watches from particular collectors who we know who have collections, and 75 to 80% provided where people are reaching out to us directly with collections and asking if they can be included in our sale, which is wonderful.
And then from the 75% that are offered to you, how many watches do you decline?
Yeah, it's interesting because we have a real dedication to quality, and we only want to offer watches that we personally would buy ourselves, that we feel we have buyers for, an audience for, and to find such high quality pieces is quite difficult. And believe it or not, we reject 90% of the watches proposed to us.
Wow.
So of the 100 watches or so, if they were included from people who proposed them to us, we rejected maybe 900.
Wow.
Well, believe it or not, 900 to 1,000.
So it's very selective.
We're very selective. We're very proud of that. And as I mentioned, we want our auctions to be events that the world looks forward to. So we are very careful in what we consign.
Well, you certainly have some awesome pieces here for us to take a closer look at. Let's dive in. These are some pieces that you will not see elsewhere. Some for sure you won't see elsewhere, as they're a one-on-one piece. But let's start with one of the most special pieces, I would say, in any of the auctions you have coming up, the Patek Philippe 2499 yellow gold black dial.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to show this one to you, George. In the field of collectible Patek Philippe watches, the most sought after models are their perpetual calendar chronographs. And of the perpetual calendar chronographs, introduced in 1941 with the reference 1518, produced to this day as the reference 5270, continuous production throughout all those years, the reference 2499 is the second model, the second version of the perpetual calendar chronograph, made in about 349 examples, as scholarship believes to be. This one is very special. It's fitted with a black dial. And any complicated Patek Philippe from the vintage era with a black dial is mythical. So we're extremely honored and thrilled to be able to offer this to our clients. Believe it or not, over about 50 years of the vintage era, only about 12 complicated Patek Philippes are known across all references to have been fitted with black dials. Within the 2499, there are 6 known. Within the 2499s of those 6, this is the only one to have been born with a black dial, as confirmed on the extract from the archives that comes with the watch.
Incredible. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous watch. Love the square pushers. Which generation of the 2499 is this, Paul?
Yes, so this is a 3rd series. This one was produced in 1963. What's amazing about the 2499 and why it's so important, Patek Philippe introduced the model, like I said, in 1941 in the midst of World War II. They're very, bold and an impressive thing to do. No other brand would produce a perpetual calendar chronograph until 1986, believe it or not, and that was IWC with the Da Vinci.
Wow, 45 years later.
Exactly, with the architecture that came out with the 1518, the dial aesthetic, the apertures for the month and the day, and the moon phase at 6 o'clock, that architecture has stood the test of time. From 1941 until the 5270 produced today, it's the same layout. So ahead of its time was Patek Philippe that the 1518 still looks like it could be a modern watch. The 2499 is my personal favorite of all the models, with the beautiful curved case, the downturned lugs. It's sort of like an art sculpture. If you lay it on a table, it lifts the entire watch. This one, as I mentioned, is a 3rd series of the 2499. It lacks a tachymeter scale, so the dial's a little bit more simple, a little bit more clean.
Yeah, clean.
This particular example with the black dial has gold lettering for the printing, applied gold hour markers. It's a glossy black dial, which gives it great character, mirror finish, and it's absolutely flawless in exceptionally well-preserved condition. The estimate for this is 400,000 to 800,000 Swiss francs.
It's cool how Patek Philippe has such a lineage to all their models, and as you said, they're still making the perpetual chrono today. I would say it's still the face of the brand, some 80 years later. Maybe the Nautilus overtook the face of the brand for a brief moment there, but at the end of the day, their perpetual chrono is Patek Philippe. So next, maybe we should look at these in chronological order of when they were produced, which I guess would take us to the AP Beast, and a special one, one of the early ones, correct?
Yes. One of the most important mechanical watches of the late 20th century, in my humble opinion. This is a very early Royal Oak Offshore, as you called it, the Beast. When it was introduced in 1993, it was viewed as something massive. At 42 millimeters, back then it was. Today, not so much. This one being a very early example, so early in fact, it's one of the first 100 produced before the name Offshore started to appear on the case back. They would appear right around serial number 100. This one, serial number 059, lacks the Offshore text. The bracelet is even prototypish in nature. It features these folding metal blades, very rarely seen. Anytime one of these watches went back for service, AP immediately upgraded the bracelet and made them more modern without even consulting with the original owners. So to find one still original with this buckle is quite a find.
Now, if you were to send it back, you'd be like, please don't change the buckle.
Absolutely, we would advise you to expressly say that. But still a fantastic example. And as we were talking, 25 years later, after the introduction for the 25th anniversary of the Offshore, they reintroduced the Beast in exactly this configuration. Here is the original, extremely well preserved. It ushered in the large watch trend, which still prevails to this day, and sort of changed the game in mechanical watches.
Watches got even bigger after that. I mean, we got up to 48
the pendulum
millimeter,
swung pretty far.
Yeah, we got to 48 millimeter Breitling Super Avengers and Panerais, 47, 48 millimeter pieces, or even bigger, Mare Nordstroms. But yeah, I remember, like when this came out, the use of rubber for the around the crown and the pushers, and I believe the reason why they didn't put Offshore on the back is because Gerald Genta himself, there was skepticism. They didn't know how it was going to be received. It was like this daring, bold move to come out with a 42 millimeter watch. Yeah. And now, all brands are making a 42 millimeter watch. So it's interesting how times have changed. But that was a revolutionary watch. And as you said, one of the most important pieces from the late 20th century.
Totally agree. And this example is extremely well preserved. The case has never been polished and hardly worn, and we're offering it with an estimate of 50,000 to 100,000 Swiss francs.
All right. So a watch that is very special to me, the de Bethune. Let's take a look at this special prototype piece.
Yes, so we're thrilled to have this very early DB25. It's actually a prototype. This was owned and worn and shown by David Zanetta, who is the co-founder of de Bethune. In 2002, he and Denis Flageolet created the brand. And this one is from 2007 and differs from the production models, which showed up in 2008, in that the dial is all titanium, the outer ring is also titanium. It features at 12 o'clock something that didn't make it to the production versions, which is a spherical power reserve. The production versions would introduce a linear power reserve. This was the first sort of simple de Bethune to feature these skeletonized lugs screwed into the case here. Really, really well done, beautiful proportions. It is a dress watch, so it's quite thin, and it features de Bethune's in-house movement, extremely well made, with a platinum and titanium balance wheel and a platinum and titanium winding rotor. The movement is marked prototype, comes directly from David Zanetta, and it's really, really a special piece.
I can see where my DB25 Rose Gold Stradivarius stems from, that piece. Here we are 15 years later. I love everything about that watch. I mean, the hands, the circular hour markers, the balls that are applied, and it's really a recognizable case with those lugs.
When you look at the details, how well made everything is, the dial, the hands, the power reserve, the finishing on the movement, even though it's a prototype, it's still extremely well finished. And there's a reason why de Bethune is so cherished by lovers of independent brands, is because the watchmaking is exceptional, the finishing is exceptional, the designs are completely avant-garde, completely original and their own. Very different types of concepts and elements, and they all come together to create really magnificent pieces.
That is a very special, pure watch. You can just see it. Let's go to the next watch that we have here. I guess we would go to the Kari Voutilainen, which is a piece unique.
Exactly. So, a super interesting watch that many of you probably have never heard of. It's the 28 ISO, and it's an alternative time display. So the minute hand rotates at a different rate alongside a rotating outer minute track. So the minutes, what looks like, for an analog time indication, the minutes aren't actually being indicated by the hand. The minute hand is actually pointing to the proper minutes on the rotating minute track. This forces you to have to study your watch, develop a deep connection with your watch anytime you want to be able to tell the proper time.
Interactive piece.
Exactly, and I love that. It forces you to study the watch. You can't just at a glance know what time it is, but it's smartly designed so that the hour and minute hand will overlap at every hour, and at every half hour, the hour and minute hand are exactly 180 degrees out of phase, so to speak.
But it could be showing 15 minutes where normally the minute hand would be at 45 minutes.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah, so you must use the minute hand to look at the outer minute track to know the proper time.
Very cool.
It is a Voutilainen piece, known for exquisite hand finishing work. The Vent movement, it is a direct impulse, high precision mechanical timekeeper, finished extraordinarily well. This is a pièce unique, as you mentioned, at 44 millimeters, very impressive size, but still wears very, very well because of the teardrop lugs, which are really well designed. A gorgeous, well-finished, multiple types of guilloche work on the dial, and his signature observatoire hands that are really loved by collectors.
That's an awesome, awesome piece. Love it.
We're very happy to have it, and the estimate is 70,000 to 140,000 Swiss francs.
And then last but certainly not least, we have a showstopper Rolex Rainbow Daytona, which is not just any Rainbow Daytona. Tell us about this one, Paul.
Yeah, a dazzling way to end our selection of highlights here. For people who know Rolex very well, they know that the Rainbow Daytona is the hardest watch to get.
Without a doubt.
It is Rolex flexing basically all of its muscle know-how in every way. What stands out about gem set Rolex watches, as some know, is the quality of the gem setting. So all of the stones, whether it's the diamonds or the sapphires, they're internally flawless, they're color matched, they're all genuine stones, there's nothing synthetic, all of the sapphires are true sapphires, and really carefully selected to have this perfect gradient that spans all the colors of the rainbow. This is the most prestigious of the rainbow models. There's a entry level, let's call it, but not really entry level, as you know, with a black dial and sapphire hour markers, but no diamonds, no pave diamonds on the dial, no diamonds on the bracelet. You can get a pave diamond dial and no diamond bracelet. This has all options exercised, fully gem set, factory gem set, bracelet, and dial. And with the introduction of the rose gold version in 2018, the rainbow, as many know, was introduced in 2012. The rose gold version came out in 2018, and with that, they introduced for the first time a bracelet that features diamonds also on the buckle.
Amazing.
And that was a first.
Definitely will catch eyes if it's on the wrist, that's for sure. You won't miss that one.
Absolutely, yeah. And this one is still with stickers present on the case back, even the bracelet, so an unworn example. We're very, very happy to have it. A rarely seen, top of the line version of the rainbow. We have it in with an estimate of 250,000 to 500,000 Swiss francs.
Amazing. Yeah, I was telling you, I've never seen one in person, in fact. So, yeah, very, very difficult watch to get for sure. And in typical fashion, you guys always have an amazing assortment and wide variety of watches.
Thank you.
Just in these 5 right here, you have a truly special vintage Patek, which you won't see anywhere else. You have a piece unique from a small independent in the Kari Voutilainen. You have a prototype from another small independent, of which a whole line inside of Bethune was created, and a watch that's on my wrist now. Where the Offshore began, really, in the beast, and then from the crown, one of their most special, rare gem set pieces. So this is an unbelievable representation of what's to come. I'm excited to see what else you guys will have
Thank you, George.
for sale. And
we try to offer something for everyone. We are looking for great watches at pretty much all price points, from starting bids of 500 Swiss francs or $500 all the way up to the very top quality. Like I mentioned, we're looking for watches that we personally would love to own, and that watches that we believe have enduring appeal and enduring value.
Well, you do a great job with it, and I appreciate you having me here in the Cube, an amazing
sincere
building
pleasure to have
with
you.
a great view of Manhattan, and best of luck with the sales coming up the rest of this year.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Great to see you.